Welcome back, everyone. Katie and I are all refreshed, although we just said we needed another vacation. But we just say that, and we've only been back not even a month. But that wasn't all vacation. So we took our She Supply Chains team to the Bahamas. So backstory is the place where we were staying, they were opening up a podcast studio. We were like, that would be amazing to do our retreat, record, but in typical island fashion, it was not ready at all. So maybe next year when
Maybe
we go
next
back,
year.
it'll be ready to go. But it was really great because we see all these other kind of teams get together and we're like, if we were at our day jobs, we would do a retreat. So this was our way to talk about kind of our vision, where are we at? Katie and I have some interesting follow-ups and things that we're working on with our social media. So you'll see that like we're trying to do a bunch of more stuff on TikTok, which is super uncomfortable for Katie and I and just social media. So anyway,
I
we're working on
appreciate you
that.
though, Courtney, because I feel like you're the one leaning into this
I'm
first.
leading it.
I'm
I'm leading
like,
it. Katie's
oh,
leaning into LinkedIn. I'm leaning into the Instagram and TikTok. So that is what we're doing. So we're like documenting our days, and so you'll see more of kind of what we do in our what do they call it? 9 to 5, then 5 to 9. So you'll
yeah.
see some of that.
We've learned all kinds
Um,
of things, I feel like, about social media. And I get it. Like, the intent is if you want to reach more people, you need to be where they are. And
yes,
so today we are not active in the TikTok space. I think we're on Instagram and LinkedIn, but
yeah,
there's always an opportunity to do
and we're
more.
on YouTube, which was a
Yeah, we are
big
on YouTube. Yeah.
jump for us to record because we we were used to the audio only, and then we were like, oh, we have to actually like look nice and not be in our pajamas. And we put lipstick on, make sure we're ready to go for prime time. So, and YouTube's actually been doing, I think, pretty good.
It
So,
does. Yeah. It does. Yeah.
Tik TikTok is our new venture. And I think the funny thing for Katie and I is like, I don't think our age group, well, maybe there are people in our age group in that space, just not us.
I
I
think it
don't
might
know.
just be us because I feel like I talk to other people and they're all over it. I mean, even my in-laws are on
Really?
and
Are they?
I think their algorithm's a little bit
I
different,
think
but
they are there for like the dances and the funny, I don't
it's a
know.
lot of I feel like it's a lot of cat videos. Like,
Really?
yeah, so
Oh, cat.
feel like
Okay.
yeah,
People love the cats and the dogs, and my
they do.
algorithm now has all the dog stuff from Issa. They are quite
Lisa,
amusing,
yeah.
I would say. Okay, Katie, what else did we do at the retreat?
So it was really lovely to get everybody together in person. Crystal, who does our social media, we had never actually met in person before this. So it's been incredible because we've been working together for so long
She
as we
was a
had a
lot
chance.
shorter than I expected. I don't know what you had in your head, because you know how, like, she has, like, I don't know, tall girl energy a little bit.
She's
I
got
don't know.
presence. She
She
does. She
does. So she
does.
showed
She
up, I was like,
does.
"Oh my gosh," because 'cause I'm short, so when someone's, like, about my height, I'm like, "Oh, wow." But yeah, it was great. I know, I forgot we had met her in person because
We had met
we
her first. So yeah, it was wonderful to actually connect and see everyone in person. And then actually kind of take a step away because, we connect weekly, but it's about like upcoming episodes and guests and things like this. And this was a chance to actually take a step back. We looked at a lot of metrics and data to see how are we tracking, what our growth has been. It's kind of incredible and pretty fun.
Yeah.
And we still have more to go. And we also think that there's more people out there that are in supply chain. They don't know about us yet. And so, how do we do that? Where else could we be looking at? And so, again, that's where you'll start to see maybe a little bit more on social media presence, but also how do we partner with different schools and groups? So,
Mhm.
more to come in that space too.
Yeah, and really about us figuring out, like, what is our true vision? Because I think we started this and we weren't sure. We knew we kinda wanted to do, but I don't think we approached it in a very systematic way in terms of, "Here's our vision, here's what we wanna see for the podcast," and to Katie's point, like, how do we increase our impact? Because what we've discovered is, like, people that find us, you know, usually like us, and they stay, but it's like, how do we get a better reach? So we'll have an ask at the end that's gonna help us with our reach, and Katie is the algorithm guru of Apple
I go down
and
rabbit holes sometimes trying to figure this out.
Spotify.
Yeah.
It is crazy how scientific
Hmm.
this is, and maybe sometimes not. And so I think for us, because we're such a like logic and math and whatever, when the algorithm doesn't make sense to us, we're trying to figure out how to break
How to
through,
fix
but
it. Yeah.
come with us on that journey.
Okay, so we talked a lot about the podcast and everything else, but there's also been a lot of changes for us. So I just changed roles. Gosh, I think it's like week 5. I'm about to enter
Yeah.
week 6. Courtney, you just hit the 6 month.
Yeah.
milestone for your
So
role.
I can't be new anymore, I guess. I keep saying I'm new. Someone told me they were like, "Now we're like, okay." They're like, "Now you need to know." Like, I don't get lost anymore. Like, that's like success because
Oh,
3M is huge, and so
yeah.
like I get all my 10,000 steps when I go to work. But yeah, I know 6 months, and you're like a few weeks. So yeah, I'm excited to hear about your role. So, Katie's still at General Mills, and she is still thriving and growing. And I think this is awesome because both of us have taken different paths, but we're both like doing exciting new things. And so, for our listeners, so I want to hear like what's a lesson in your first few weeks, like something surprising, and maybe like good, bad, unexpected as you because you've been with the company a long time, and so now
Yeah.
you're just like changing roles, which we all have done many times, but I think this was a big change for you.
It was. So I have gone back into manufacturing and engineering, which is really where I started with General Mills like 15 years ago. And while I've obviously been working with manufacturing over these last few years, I haven't been directly in it. And so there was actually this piece, I think it's been a nice unexpected surprise where
Mm.
I was like, oh, I had gone to one of her plants and, one of the more, junior team members, she was like, "So what's been your path?" Like, because I haven't really been and I remember that, like, when you were in the plant, you know your plant team really well,
Mhm.
and maybe 1 or 2 people from corporate that were often coming to the plant, but you didn't really know anybody else, and I'd been away, I think, for so long directly that coming back in, she was like, "Who are you?"
You're like, "Everyone should know me." They're like,
I
"Actually,
was
no, we
like,
don't know
"I've been
you at all."
around a while, okay."
We
But
don't know you at all.
I think it's a good reminder though that, you know, you've been away, and so coming back, there's
Mm.
been some friendships that you jump right back into because you used to work together, and then there's
Yeah.
others like people have changed. And so even if you've worked in a place for some time, it was this reminder that things are still different and new because you haven't been directly in there. And so there's been a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh,
changes that have
that's a good
happened. So
one.
that piece has been like a good surprise. So definitely still right now in learning mode and asking lots of questions and making
Mm.
sure like seeking to understand. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? You're at 6 months. How are you
Um
feeling?
I feel really good. It's like I think you get a little bit of comfort and I still don't know like when someone's like, "You need to call so and so." I'm like, "I have no idea who that is." Or the other day I was in a meeting and I was like, "We need to make sure from someone from quality is involved." They're like, "We are." I'm I'm that person. I'm like, "Oh yeah.
You're
It's
like, "Hi, nice to meet
Hi,
you."
nice to meet you." So being in a large organization, I just still think just navigating all the people and the things. The one thing I've been reflecting on is supply chain complexity. And so
Ooh, I
Katie and
wanna
I
know about this because I mean, you changed industries. It's a
yes,
much larger organization.
yes, and, it has and I will say I'm not winning at it every day, but forcing myself to, get out of the tyranny of the urgent and my team,
Eh,
because with the amount of plants that we support, like, globally, 60 plus, with the complexity in our supply chain, like, we have tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suppliers, and we could have an issue anywhere in that chain, and that really impacts us significantly and things people that you're like, "Why would I be worried about this down the line?" So I think, figuring out, like, what is important, where should I spend my time? Because there's so many things we could be spending our time on,
yeah,
and I think getting out of the tyranny of the day to day, what I've realized when you have a very complex supply chain, you have to get farther out in your thinking or you will never get out of it, and your work.
truth.
And
Yes.
so what I'm working on with my team right now is like, how do we get into that we're in the improvement space out of the
Mhm,
running the supply chain
mhm.
space? Because my team's role is supposed to be looking at their global supply chains. How are they supposed to architect those supply chains for
Yep.
efficiency and
Yeah,
resiliency? But that takes time and a skill set that we need to get better at, myself included, to especially when and then we share plans with other business groups. So I think and then sometimes I ask myself, um, I is it good complexity or bad complexity? And
mhm.
sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. And so we hear complexity and everyone assumes it's bad. That's not necessarily true. And then just trying to keep up with the political environment and changes all the day,
Oh
every
my
day.
gosh, all the time.
All the
Yeah.
time. So I
I
think,
was
like, as
yeah.
a leader, the thing I'm really working on is, like, prioritization, clarity. Am I
Mhm.
working on the right things? Am I spending my time on the right things? Because I've day to day, that's been challenging. Okay, more tactically. for you,
Yeah.
Katie. What's one skill or new focus area that you're intentionally developing right now?
So it's similar, kind of along the lines of what you were just talking about, that chance to take a step back and think bigger and bolder. I think there's been a lot of positive change in the organization that I'm leading now. And I
Mhm.
think there's room for more. And how do you create space and time for that? So that is part of it. But part of it is also this external lens.
Okay.
And so, how are we bringing the outside in? And not just to like, there's a piece of, like, it should be inspiring, but I also hope it, like, kinda sparks, like, if they can do that, like, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
do
yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
I just got back, actually, it was the first time I've attended this event. It's called the, North American Manufacturing Association, NAM.
Okay.
And it was fascinating because it was all of these different companies from across different industries. You had really big companies and you had mid-size and small size. And what they come together, though, is they talk about the challenges that they're facing, and they really think about how government policy could be
Mm.
impacting it. And obviously, we're talking a lot about tariffs, right? Obviously, a
Mhm.
lot going on in the world right now that is also now impacting supply chains.
Yep.
But it was almost like, wow, there's another lever out there. And am I thinking about that?
Mm.
About, and it doesn't, sometimes it could be at the national scale, but sometimes it could be with your local government. Like, are you building relationships with your
Mm.
local government and
Yeah.
local community colleges if you need to bring in more technical skills? Like, it just is one of those things. I was like, oh, I have to remember that as we're thinking about what is possible and what's outside, that's like a net, like, we do go to other industries, or sometimes we go to, like, call 'em, like, think tanks, like a Gartner or
Yeah.
something, right? And I think there's this other, like, lever there to
Okay.
pull. You need
Oh, I
it.
like
So
that.
that's been something else that I was like, I gotta pull that in more often as we're solving problems.
Yeah, one of the good things at 3M right now is we've had a fair amount of external hires, and so
Mm.
I just love that every time someone comes in, like, um, they just come like, there's a lot of people from different industries and software and
Yeah.
automotive, and, like, everyone just thinks differently and they have different experiences, and I just think it makes you better.
It's
Like, I
almost like
really
you get to
do.
talk to a bunch of different consultants, but
I
they're, like,
know,
on your
it is.
team.
You don't have to
Yeah,
pay
it's awesome.
$1,000,000 either, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
okay, and on a personal note, so, Katie's birthday's coming up. Mine was just in the end of January, and Katie knows I'm a birthday person. Like, I
Courtney's the queen of birthdays, the
celebrate
queen
the
of
whole month.
birthdays.
It is like joy for me if I can go on a trip or nice dinner, all the things. And I just love it. And because I feel like it's the one thing is your thing that no one can take away. So, so for my birthday this year, I went to Napa with 12 friends from all of my life stages. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds so scary," but there was no stress, no drama. Katie can say that there
It
was
was amazing. Well, also, Courtney, because I feel like I don't some of them I had met before.
yeah.
Some of them, like, I felt like I knew because I had heard you talk about, and I love that it came from, like, some were from high school, some were from college, some were from
I mean, middle
Minneapolis,
school
like,
even. It was middle school.
yes,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
again,
all
a
over.
few I had met before, but some of them was like, "I feel like I know you," because, you talk
Yeah.
about your friends, and it was I thought it was magical. I thought it was so, so good.
Okay, and then Katie's gonna share how super random. So we're on like at a winery, not even thinking about supply chain or any of this. And then we end up like having a whole supply chain moment. So I'll let Katie tell the
We did.
story.
So this was lovely. We were at a winery called Tres Sabores, and we're sitting at this tasting table. It is lovely. It's amazing. And the owner of the winery comes over, and her name is Julie Johnson. And she shared this, like, this beautiful story of how she came to Napa, the path that led her to this winery. And actually, one of the people that was with us was Sabrina, who was our very, very first guest on the podcast,
Yep.
and she was like, "You guys should go interview her." And we were like, "What?" She's like, "Go do it." So anyways, Sabrina was our camera woman, and,
I know. And
Courtney and I,
mind you, this was like winery number
it was number
3.
3. It was
So I
number
was like,
3.
should we be on camera? I don't
Ah,
know.
ah.
We're gonna go. We're like, okay, let's go, let's go. We're gonna just ask her. And she's like, sure, let's go to
She
this
was
back
so
room.
excited, and she was lovely,
So lovely. She had
and
an amazing personal story and professional
and
story.
professional, and the work that doing on sustainability and really thinking about the
Hmm.
supply chain. So anyways, that episode's gonna be coming out here. We are adding it to the newsletter as, like, you
Yes.
get to see it first from the newsletter, and then we'll
So
release it.
subscribe if you want it early
Yep,
because
and
it's a
then,
super
it
awesome
will come
interview.
out a little bit later, and, I don't know if we're listening. I think Sabrina at the very end was like, "And if this camera was shaky, it's because we're at the 3rd winery." And I was like, "Sabrina."
I don't know. That'll be an outtake. Yeah. So one of the things I saw this on Instagram, we replicated it for the trip. So you record everybody walking into the winery and everyone's like winery 1 and then da, 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 winery 2, da, da, da. But winery 3 everyone's like winery number 3. We were pretty good though. We were like we're old. So we were like hydration packs and
I know, we
Katie
were funny. We had, like, our
Katie brought
liquid
like a case of
IVs,
water.
had
We're
water. I was like, "I
we're,
can't
like, handing
anymore."
out waters in the hotel rooms. I'm like, we were gonna be hydrated and happy and not sick. Like, we had a
Oh.
it was a wonderful trip, and it proves that women, we had a wonderful time. Like, literally, there was no drama, no fights,
Mm.
no nothing, just a lovely time. So
It was beautiful. It was
that was
so,
great.
so fun. And enough I loved it too. It's funny, I'm reading this book. We had her as a guest at IWD. Her name's Priya Parker, and she wrote this book and I had to interview her. And so she wrote this
I
book
got a picture of it.
called The Art of Gathering. And so now I'm, like, obsessed with this. And your weekend, I feel like you were, like, the best host. Like, you designed enough structure. There was time together. There was also, like, time for people to apart, but also, like, the intent behind it was to celebrate and just, like, be together and have
So in
fun.
my side
Yeah.
job, well, I already have a side job, but in my 3rd side job, I that is like my joy. Katie knows. I love bringing people together, making it fun, and that is just like I love it. It just and like so the birthday trip was like a perfect way for me to do that.
You should add this book then to your list
Okay, Art of
because
Gathering.
yes, and it's not it's social, but it's also even at work. Like, I'm having this
Mm.
whole thing that I'm thinking about now at work and how I run my meetings and everything too now.
Okay,
It
okay,
was
I
really
wanna
good.
read
Yeah,
that.
I thought it
I
was
just
really good.
finished I'm finishing one audiobook, which is super interesting, and you would never guess, like, I think it's called, like, About Love or something, but it talks about, like, how yeah, All About Love. It's bell hooks. It's
Okay.
just interesting and not in, like, a weird way, but how love and how kindness and how we treat people just comes through in how just I don't know, it's but what I like about it, it talks a little bit about, how it shows up at work
Mm,
and, how girls versus boys and, like, how what's embraced and how we like, just how it
yeah,
manifests. It's just super interesting. It's like you would think it was like a it's not some romantic thing, but it's just interesting, and it's things that you would never think about, and it talks about some in our world of, like, female empowerment but how, like, even men that want to be supportive or want to push forward a female agenda or whatever in
yeah.
early age, they're almost, like, bullied out of it or whatever, and then they kind
Mm,
of, like, eventually just and they get rewarded for it. So then it's just really hard to go against the system.
yeah,
It's just such an interesting and then it talks about the gender norms and, like, when you try to break those, like, how hard and
that can
society
be.
doesn't, like,
Yeah,
support you in it either. So it's super interesting. Okay, we're doing like a full flip now. So now we're going to talk about it's Women History Month.
it is.
And
Yes.
yes, so Katie and I that's kind of why we wanted to have our episode because we like I said we have Julie coming, which is just such an interesting story. Um but Katie, what are your thoughts kind of as we go into Women's History Month?
So I love Women's History Month. I feel like I think we both work at organizations too where it's celebrated, and I love this idea of like bringing people together. I also appreciate there's been a shift and so many more men participate than
I
before.
know, that's
You
awesome.
know, and so I look around the room too at all the allies that are sitting there and taking in the speakers and the messages and the energy. And it does. It like brings a smile to my face. It brings me joy. I also love too that we're celebrating the past, but also like investing in the future,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so that momentum continues.
And I think regardless of what people think, I still believe diversity is a competitive advantage.
Mhm.
And what I love about Women History Month And, like, I loved, like, Hidden Figures movie, and, like, there's all
Yeah.
these women that are, like, behind the scenes that never get talked about in history, and so I think we just realized, like, all the things that would have never happened if we didn't have these amazing women, and that makes I think fuels Katie and I to keep pushing, what we're doing.
And to tell those stories,
Tell
like,
the stories.
Hidden
Yeah.
Figures to me, that one hits home. I have a fun fact. The NASA base that they worked on was next to Langley Air Force Base where I went to high school. I actually went when I was in high school, this short story.
Oh,
My
I
mom
remember
signed
this.
my mom signed me up. She was like it was put on by the Boy Scouts of America, but it was like almost like a mini internship in high school at the NASA facility. And I was like,
Oh,
"Mom,"
yeah.
she's like, "You're doing this." I was like, "It says this Boy Scouts of America." She says, "Doesn't say girls can't go." So I sign up. I am the only girl. But we got to tour the wind tunnels. We got to design like airplanes. We got to do all this amazing stuff. And it wasn't until like literally 20 years later, this movie comes out and then I find out these incredible women were like right there in my hometown and working at NASA. And
That's
now
amazing.
I'm so excited that they've
And I
received the
love
act.
your mom. Of course, she was like, "I don't
Of
care, you're
course she did.
going."
She's like,
And of
and you're
course you
going
said, "Yes,
anyways.
ma'am."
Yeah. And I'm you're like, I was like, Mom, she's like, doesn't say there's no girls. She's like, you're going. And I did. And I'm glad I did. Um, but I think about that story, specifically that one, because I grew up there and I never heard that until somebody discovered it
Yeah, that's amazing.
and made it big. And so I think about that with our podcast. How do we share more
Mm,
stories, help more people know about all these cool and amazing things that women in
yeah,
supply chain are doing?
I love that. Alright, and so Katie is not a birthday person like I am, so she's
I am not.
highly uncomfortable with this, so we're forcing her. So, Katie's birthday is coming up,
Okay.
and we want for you guys, for a gift to Katie is how do you help us with reviews and ratings? So, that is the ask.
That is my birthday
Um
ask. I'm embracing the Courtney energy. Birthday's coming up on May 1st. And this is something that I do. I know we make fun, but actually, I really admire this about you, Courtney, like the celebration of yourself and all the things that you've done. And
Mhm,
so I usually don't share my birthday. I'm just like, hey, it's okay. I might bring in some treats, you know?
yeah,
But I don't like to make a big fuss. But instead, this year, I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to ask for something. You know, I'm going to ask for 30 seconds of your time and leave us a star rating or a review based on my research, this definitely helps the algorithm. And so when somebody's out there and they're looking for a podcast about supply chain, it helps our podcast pop to the top and they can
yeah.
find it. So that's my
And I'm
birthday
gonna be
wish.
greedy, rating and a review. So, like, 60 seconds.
Courtney.
We'll take 'em both. We want it
He's
all.
like, ask for more.
So yeah, so we're super excited about that. And I think just like as we close out, like I said, it's been a fun couple of months for Katie and I. We had our like kickoff. We always have our, New Year kickoff. We had our retreat. And then we just also just always want to come back and just thank you, our listeners, for your time and your support. We're so grateful that you are helping us build this community together. And we're excited to keep driving to the next chapter of what She Supply Chains means for us in 2026.
Thanks for listening and leave
Thank
that
you.
review.
Bye. Leave a review
Bye.
and a rating.